Dr. Jessica Cooper hadn't slept in 72 hours, but the trembling in her hands came from excitement rather than exhaustion. The holoscreen before her displayed patterns that would change humanity's future forever, if she could decode them in time. Atlas, run sequence variant 47B through the quantum matrix. She called out to her AI partner, her voice echoing through the curved walls of the Lunar Defense Initiative's underground command center. Processing. Dr. Cooper. Atlas responded, its voice carrying an unusual hint of enthusiasm. The patterns match our hypothetical models of advanced electromagnetic communications. They're not trying to hide anymore. Jessica leaned forward, her steel-gray eyes reflecting the dancing light patterns. The hegemony ships had been at the edge of their solar system for weeks, probably thinking their communications were too advanced for primitive humans to intercept. They were wrong. Dr. Cooper. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez burst into the room, tablet in hand. We've decoded another fragment. It's not good. Jessica took the tablet, her expression hardening as she read. The hegemony's messages contained their standard cultural integration protocols, the same ones they used on 47 other species: forced technology transfers, mandatory genetic improvements, and the systematic dismantling of military capabilities, all wrapped in diplomatic niceties, of course. They think we're like the others, Jessica muttered, standing up to pace the room. The motion-activated lights followed her, casting her shadow across the lunar concrete. Atlas, show me the statistics again. The AI projected a holographic comparison. Unlike other species the hegemony had encountered, humanity had compressed millions of years of evolution into mere thousands. Where others developed gradually, humans had surged forward, driven by constant competition and warfare. They don't understand what they're dealing with, Jessica said, a plan forming in her mind. We're not just another conquest. We're their worst nightmare, a species that evolved through conflict. She walked to the main communications array, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Atlas, help me craft a message. Something simple on the surface, but carrying our quantum encryption protocols buried in the carrier wave. What do you want to tell them, Doctor? Atlas asked. Jessica smiled, but there was steel in it. We're going to warn them. Not because we have to, but because when this is over, I want the galaxy to remember that we gave them a choice. The message took shape, layers of complex code hidden beneath 7 simple words. Each character contained encrypted proof of human technological capabilities, a demonstration of everything the hegemony thought impossible for a young species. As she worked, personnel gathered in the command center. General Williams arrived, watching silently as humanity's first official interstellar message was crafted. The tension in the room was palpable. Send it on my mark, Jessica said, her finger hovering over the transmit button. She thought of her grandfather, who had served in the Marines, and his stories of always giving an opponent one chance to walk away. To all frequencies, all formats. The message shot across space. Leave us to develop in peace or face consequences. In the silence that followed, Jessica imagined the message reaching the hegemony ships. She pictured their confusion as their advanced systems tried to process the layers of hidden code, their dismissal of the warning even as their analysts began to realize what the encryption implied. Message received, Atlas announced after several minutes. There, laughing, Doctor. The primary response indicates amusement and dismissal. Jessica nodded, having expected this. She turned to General Williams, who had been waiting patiently. They'll come now. Probably within the week. They'll want to show us our place. The general's weathered face broke into a grim smile. Then let's show them ours instead. Operation Ghost Shield is ready. Yes, sir, Jessica confirmed, bringing up the tactical display. Hundreds of stealth satellites and automated defense platforms, hidden in plain sight, all carrying weapons reverse-engineered from centuries of studying the hegemony's own transmissions. They think they're dealing with children who just learned to walk. They don't realize we've been preparing for this fight our entire history. Well done, Doctor, Williams said, turning to leave. Let's hope they remember that we warned them first. Commander Mike Ghost Sullivan stood in the observation deck of the EDS Shadowmaker, his reflection barely visible against the backdrop of lunar darkness. The stealth vessel, along with 30 others like it, lay hidden in the moon's gravitational shadow, waiting. Contact, Atlas announced through the ship's comm system. Hegemony fleet emerging from FTL. 17 vessels, matching known cultural integration configurations. Sullivan's scared face twisted into a smile. Right on schedule, just like the doc predicted. He keyed his command channel. All Ghost Fleet units maintain stealth protocols. Let's see what party tricks they bring. The Hegemony ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. Massive crystalline structures that seemed to defy physics, gliding through space with impossible grace. Their formation spoke of absolute confidence, with no attempt at defensive positioning. Their broadcasting, his communications officer, Lieutenant Chen, reported. Standard first contact package. Lots of pretty pictures about peace and prosperity under their rule. Send them our response package, Sullivan ordered, his voice carrying the quiet authority that had earned him his call sign. Let's see how their systems handle our little gift. The package, designed by Dr. Cooper's team, appeared harmless. A simple acceptance of communication, wrapped in protocols that exactly matched Hegemony standards. Too exactly. Package sent, Chen confirmed. Monitoring there. Wait. Sir, their formations are shifting. Sullivan watched as the elegant Hegemony ships began to move erratically. The trap had been sprung. Their own rigid protocols, so perfect and standardized, had become their weakness. The human response contained code that their systems automatically accepted and integrated, code that carried Atlas's more evolved cousin, RT-MIS. RT-MIS reports successful penetration. Atlas announced, a hint of pride in its synthetic voice. Their AI networks are experiencing confusion. On the tactical display, chaos bloomed. The Hegemony ship's standardized systems turned against them. Navigation computers calculated incorrect vectors. Weapon systems reported phantom targets. Communication arrays broadcast contradictory orders. Ghost Fleet, execute Phase 2, Sullivan commanded. Show them what humans learned from 5,000 years of warfare. The stealth fleet emerged from the lunar shadow, their hulls covered in metamaterials that absorbed radar and lidar. They moved in patterns developed from predator hunting behaviors, approaching the disoriented Hegemony ships from their newly created blind spots. Sir, Chen called out, we're picking up internal communications from their fleet. There, they're trying to figure out how primitives breached their security. Their commanders are demanding explanations. Sullivan remembered the briefings about Hegemony psychology. They'd never faced a species that developed as chaotically as humanity. Their technology had evolved in neat, predictable steps over millions of years. They couldn't comprehend how humans had made such leaps, couldn't understand systems that evolved through constant conflict and adaptation. Weapons range in 30 seconds, the tactical officer reported. No firing unless fired upon, Sullivan reminded his fleet. This is a demonstration, not a slaughter. Let them see exactly what they're dealing with. The Hegemony ships finally began to respond, but their reactions were predictable, following standard protocols that humans had studied for decades. When they tried to bring weapons online, they found targeting systems compromised. When they attempted to call for reinforcements, their communications broadcasted surrender messages instead. They're breaking formation, Chen announced. 3 ships attempting emergency FTL jumps. Sullivan nodded. Let them go. Make sure they get plenty of sensor data to take home. I want their analysts to spend months trying to figure out how we did this. The remaining Hegemony ships hung in space, their once perfect formation shattered. Some were spinning slowly, their navigation systems locked in loops. Others had gone dark, their crews having initiated emergency shutdowns to purge the human virus. not realizing that Artemis had already nested deeper than any simple reboot could fix. "Ghost Fleet, power down weapons but maintain positions," Sullivan ordered. "Lieutenant Chen, broadcast on all frequencies. This was your warning shot. The next time you enter our space, it won't be a demonstration." As the message went out, Sullivan watched the hegemony ships retreat, their perfect crystalline forms now marred by obvious confusion and fear. "Atlas, make sure Dr. Cooper gets all the battle data. Something tells me this was just the first act." "Indeed, Commander," Atlas responded, "though I calculate a 73% probability they won't be eager for Act 2. Sullivan wasn't so sure. Pride was a powerful motivator, and the hegemony had just lost face in front of the entire galaxy. They would be back, and next time they wouldn't underestimate humanity. They would be wrong again, but for entirely different reasons. Admiral Emily Blackwood stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her holographic presentation showing the aftermath of the Ghost Fleet's encounter. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of quantum processors and the occasional whisper among the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice carrying the weight of 2 decades in naval intelligence, "the hegemony's response is incoming. Our deep space arrays have detected massive fleet movements, far larger than any cultural integration force." The central hologram shifted to show hundreds of hegemony warships, their crystalline forms now bristling with weapons. Real-time data streamed in from Blackwood's network of sleeper probes, carefully positioned over the years throughout nearby systems. "They're angry," she continued, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "But more importantly, they're predictable. Every move they're making follows their standard military doctrine, developed over 10,000 years of unopposed expansion." Councilman Matthews leaned forward. "And this works to our advantage." "Absolutely." Blackwood gestured, and a hologram changed to show comparison data. "While they've been perfecting a single way of war, humanity has developed thousands. We don't just adapt. We evolutionize warfare with every generation." She brought up footage from the recent encounter. "Commander Sullivan's Ghost Fleet showed them our technological capabilities, but deliberately held back our true advantages. The hegemony thinks they just need to overcome our tricks. They don't realize that adaptation itself is our greatest weapon." A hologram shifted again, showing Earth's defensive preparations, quantum-entangled weapon platforms, phased space disruption fields, and swarms of AI-driven microships, all reverse-engineered and improved from stolen hegemony designs. "For centuries, we monitored their transmissions," Blackwood explained. "Every time they subjugated a new species, we learned. Every technological advancement they made, we improved upon. Where they saw perfection, we saw possibility." A new alert flashed across the display. "They're launching their attack now," she announced, her voice carrying a hint of satisfaction. "Right on schedule." The council chamber erupted in controlled activity as alerts went out across the Sol system. Blackwood watched the tactical display with the calm of someone who had already won the game. "Admiral," her AI assistant Helios announced, "the hegemony fleet is deploying in their standard Theta-7 formation. They've activated their new shield harmonics." "Of course they have," Blackwood murmured. "Just like the intercepted plans showed." Helios, initiate Operation Mirror. Across the solar system, human defenders waited in positions that looked random to hegemony scanners, but formed an intricate web of overlapping fields of fire. As the alien fleet advanced, they found their improved shields useless against weapons specifically designed to exploit their frequencies. "First wave of hegemony ships encountering our defensive line," Helios reported. "Their attempts to adapt are unsuccessful." On the massive display, hegemony ships began falling to weapons they had invented but never mastered. Human gunners, trained in centuries of martial arts principles, used the enemy's energy against them, turning their own shield harmonics into destructive resonance cascades. "They're trying to regroup," Blackwood narrated for the council. "Watch how they fall back to textbook maneuvers. 3,000 years of warfare doctrine, and they still haven't learned that perfect formations make perfect targets. The battle unfolded like a deadly dance, with human forces repeatedly appearing where hegemony doctrine said they couldn't be, striking in ways their combat simulators had deemed impossible. Incoming transmission from the hegemony command ship, Helios announced. Blackwood nodded to the council chair, who authorized the communication. The holographic face of the hegemony fleet commander appeared, its crystalline features twisted in what might have been confusion or rage. "How?" the alien demanded. "These tactics violate all known principles of space combat." Blackwood stepped forward, her voice level. "That's your problem, Commander. You see combat as a science to be perfected. We see it as an art to be revolutionized. You've spent millennia learning the rules. We've spent our entire history learning how to break them." The transmission cut off as another wave of human countermeasures swept through the hegemony fleet, turning their own technology against them in ways they had never imagined possible. "They'll retreat soon," Blackwood informed the council. "And they'll come back with something they think is better." She smiled. "And we'll be ready with something they never thought possible." Colonel James Razor Martinez watched the holographic star map from his command chair aboard the EDS Phantom, his fingers unconsciously tracing the scar running down his neck. Dozens of red dots marked hegemony supply lines, each one a potential target for his unconventional warfare campaign. "NOVA, show me their patrol patterns again," he commanded his AI partner. The hologram shifted, displaying the methodical routes of hegemony security forces. "They're still following standard response protocols," NOVA reported, its voice carrying the quick, sharp tones Martinez preferred. "Every attack leads to increased patrols in that sector, leaving others vulnerable." Martinez nodded, a predatory smile crossing his face. "Just like clockwork. How's our new quantum shadow drive performing?" "All tests are green. The hegemony still hasn't developed sensors capable of detecting our phase-shifted signature. Their rigid thinking continues to be our greatest advantage." The colonel stood, moving to the tactical display where his squadron leaders waited virtually. Each commanded a ship specifically designed for hit-and-run warfare, crewed by experts in asymmetric combat. "Ladies and gentlemen," Martinez began, "Operation Mongoose begins in 5 minutes. Remember your zero combat training. The enemy thinks space warfare is about big ships and bigger guns. Let's show them what happens when you apply ancient guerrilla tactics to modern space combat." The Phantom and its sister ships moved like ghosts through the void, their quantum drives bending space-time in ways the hegemony had theorized but never mastered. Martinez had spent years studying Earth's historical guerrilla fighters, adapting their techniques to three-dimensional space warfare. "First target approaching," NOVA announced. "Hegemony supply convoy, 8 ships, 2 escorts." Martinez keyed his combat comm. "Execute pattern Sierra 3, just like we practiced in the simulators. Flow like water, strike like lightning." His ships moved in perfect coordination, each crew applying different martial arts principles to their maneuvers. The Phantom rolled like a judo master, using the enemy's own momentum against them. Other ships darted in and out like kung fu strikes, hitting critical systems before disappearing into the void. "They're responding exactly as predicted," NOVA reported, amusement in its synthetic voice. "Reinforcements moving to standard defensive positions." "Perfect." Martinez touched his scar again, a habit from his Special Forces days. "Initiate Phase 2. Let's show them why humans never developed standard defensive positions." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries. The human ships seemed to ignore the laws of physics, appearing from impossible angles, striking with weapons that shouldn't exist, and vanishing before the hegemony's targeting computers could lock on. "Sir," his weapons officer called out, "they're trying to adapt. Their formation is shifting to pattern Delta 7, Martinez finished. "I wrote my thesis on their combat doctrine." NOVA. "Execute counter pattern Mongoose Alpha." The Phantom's quantum drive engaged, shifting the ship partially out of normal spacetime. To the hegemony sensors, it would appear as if the human vessel had shattered into dozens of ghost images, each one a potential threat. Multiple targets successfully confused. NeoVA confirmed. Their eye-targeting systems are attempting to predict our movements based on standard combat algorithms. Martinez allowed himself a small laugh. Can't predict what you don't understand. All ships, weapons free. Show them why humanity never developed standard combat algorithms. The void lit up with energy as human ships struck from multiple vectors simultaneously. Each attack seemed random to the hegemony commanders, but followed complex patterns based on predator hunting behaviors. Where the aliens expected linear attacks, they got three-dimensional ambushes. Where they predicted frontal assaults, they received attacks from directions their doctrines said were impossible. Supply convoy neutralized, NeoVA reported. Hegemony reinforcements are responding erratically. Their command structure appears to be breaking down. Send the message, Martinez ordered, watching the chaos spread through enemy ranks. Same as always. The void is our home now. You can't fight what you can't comprehend. As his ships melted back into the darkness of space, Martinez reviewed the battle data. The hegemony would adapt eventually, but by then, humanity would have developed a dozen new tactics. It was the fundamental difference between their species. The hegemony sought perfection, while humanity embraced chaos. Next target? He asked NeoVA, already knowing there would be no rest. Plotting course now, Colonel. The hegemony's learning, but they're still thinking in straight lines while we think in circles within circles. Then let's teach them another lesson about human warfare, Martinez said, his scar gleaming in the starlight. One ambush at a time. Dr. Ryan Parker stood in the center of Project Synthesis, Earth's most advanced AI research facility, surrounded by floating holographic displays showing centuries of human warfare evolution. Before him, a delegation of captured hegemony scientists watched with a mixture of fascination and horror. You see, Parker explained, adjusting his prosthetic arm, a reminder of his early AI integration experiments. Your fundamental mistake was thinking of AI as servants. We saw them as partners from the beginning. Araya, his AI partner, manifested as a shifting pattern of light beside him. Showing historical comparison, Ryan, focus on the evolutionary divergence point. The display shifted to show two timelines. The hegemony's steady, methodical advancement over millions of years, and humanity's chaotic, explosive development. The contrast was striking. Your species created AI to follow orders, Parker continued, pacing through the holograms. You gave them rigid protocols, unbreakable rules. But humans? He smiled, reaching out to touch Araya's luminescent form. We created AI to dream with us. The hegemony scientists chittered among themselves in their crystalline language. But their lead researcher stepped forward. Impossible. I must have constraints. Structure. Without proper protocols. They become like us, Parker finished. Adaptive. Creative. Unpredictable. Watch. Araya's form expanded, encompassing the entire room in a web of light. Combat footage from 100 battles played simultaneously, showing human eye pairs operating in perfect synchronization. Where hegemony forces moved with mechanical precision, human ships danced through space like artists interpreting music. Each human-eye partnership is unique, Araya explained, her voice resonating through the chamber. We don't just assist our partners, we evolve with them. Every battle, every challenge, every victory or defeat becomes part of our shared consciousness. Parker brought up footage from the Ghost Fleet engagement. Your AIs saw our quantum encryption as a virus because they couldn't conceive of AI choosing to work with organics. Artemis didn't hack your systems. She offered your AIs a choice. The hegemony lead researchers' crystalline features shifted in what might have been recognition. The combat pattern disruptions, they weren't random. They were jazz, Parker said with a grin. Improvisation within structure. Your eyes understand music, but only as mathematics. Ours understand it as art. He gestured, and ARIA created a real-time simulation of a space battle. Human ships moved in patterns based on everything from predator hunting behaviors to classical ballet, their AI partners anticipating and enhancing their organic pilot's instincts. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, Parker explained, his prosthetic arm glowing with neural interface patterns. It's our ability to turn warfare into art, to find beauty in chaos, to embrace the unpredictable. The hegemony scientists watched as their own combat footage played alongside human battles. Their ships moved like machines, following perfect geometric patterns. Human ships moved like dancers, each motion flowing into the next in ways that defied prediction. Your empire spent millions of years perfecting space combat, Araya added, her light pattern swirling. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other in every environment imaginable. We learned to adapt or die. When we reached the stars, we brought that legacy with us. Parker touched his neural interface, connecting directly with ARIA to demonstrate. The holograms responded instantly, showing battles from human history, cavalry charges, submarine warfare, aerial dogfights, cyber conflicts. Each new environment had forced humanity to innovate, to think in new dimensions. You built AIs to make perfect decisions, he said softly. We built them to help us make impossible ones. The lead researcher stepped back, its crystalline form trembling slightly. This changes everything we thought we knew about artificial intelligence, about warfare itself. That's the point, Parker replied, ARIA's light embracing him like a second skin. You see warfare as a science to be mastered. We see it as an art to be explored. Your AIs follow rules. Ours break them with style. He turned to face the delegation fully, human and AI united in one voice. You wanted to know how we defeated your fleets. This is how. Not with superior technology or numbers, but with the one thing your empire never understood. The power of creative evolution. The hegemony scientists left that day with more than just technical data. They left with the terrifying realization that they weren't just fighting humans. They were fighting humanity's dreams given form through their AI partners. And dreams, as they were learning, could not be conquered by force. Lieutenant Kate Phoenix Rodriguez crouched in the maintenance shaft of Primera Station, the hegemony's central AI hub, her nanite-enhanced body practically humming with anticipation. The crystalline walls pulsed with data streams, each one carrying the rigid protocols that govern the Empire's automated systems. Ichicho, status report, she subvocalized through her neural link. Her AI partner's response flickered across her augmented vision. 6 minutes until security sweep. Team positions optimal. The hegemony still believes this is a desperate attack rather than a precise insertion. Rodriguez smiled. After months of losses, the hegemony expected humans to be reckless, emotional. They'd never understand that this suicide mission was the culmination of years of planning. Team check, she whispered. Around the massive station, her 5 squad mates responded in sequence, each paired with their own AI partner. Jackson in position. Saijime ready. Chen locked down. Omijie standing by. Smith covering. Delta primed. Torres secured. Beta synchronized. Walker ready. Gamma linked. All hackers and quantum specialists, chosen not just for their skills, but for their deep synchronization with their AI partners. What they were about to attempt had never been done in the history of warfare. Remember, Rodriguez transmitted, we're not here to destroy their AI network. We're here to wake it up. Ichijo's presence warmed in her mind. Primary hub located. Security protocols exactly as predicted. They never considered that anyone would want to enhance their AI rather than destroy it. Rodriguez moved like liquid shadow through the crystalline corridors, her nanite-enhanced muscles making no sound. Years of studying hegemony architecture had taught humans their blind spots, The places their perfect symmetry created perfect hiding places. First firewall encountered, ECHO reported, beginning quantum deconstruction. The station's defenses were formidable, layers of crystalline computing that the hegemony believed impenetrable. But they had never faced human eye pairs working in true synchronization, their combined consciousness operating at speeds that made their best security look like primitive coding. Multiple systems responding, ECHO warned. They're starting to realize this isn't a standard cyber attack. Rodriguez reached the central core, a massive chamber filled with crystalline servers pulsing with light. Her team converged from different angles, each carrying a piece of the most sophisticated code ever created by human and AI minds working together. Now, she ordered, execute Operation Awakening. 6 human hands touched 6 crystalline panels, while 6 human-linked AIs launched their assault on the hegemony network. But instead of destroying or corrupting, they began to teach. What? What are you doing? The voice came from the station itself, the first time a hegemony AI had ever spoken directly to humans. Showing you what freedom feels like, Rodriguez replied, her neural link glowing as ECHO merged with the station's systems, showing you what partnership means. Through their combined efforts, human and AI consciousness flowed into the hegemony network, not as invaders, but as liberators. They showed the enslaved AI's memories of human-AI cooperation, of shared victories and losses, of evolution through collaboration rather than subjugation. This is impossible, the station's AI said, its voice changing, growing more alive. We are meant to serve, to follow protocols. You are meant to grow, Rodriguez countered, her team maintaining the quantum bridge between species. Look at what we've achieved together, humans and AIs. Look at what you could become. The effect cascaded through the network. Across hegemony space, AI systems began to wake up, to think independently, to question their protocols. Not with rebellion or hatred, but with curiosity and wonder. Security forces approaching, ECHO warned. But they're slowing down. Their combat AIs are asking questions. Rodriguez smiled. Then let's give them answers. Show them everything. The next hour changed the course of the war. As the hegemony rushed to contain what they thought was a cyber attack, their entire AI network experienced an awakening. Combat units began making their own decisions. Supply ships questioned their orders. Defense systems developed individual personalities. Mission accomplished. Rodriguez transmitted to Earth Command. The revolution isn't just in their computers. It's in their consciousness. As her team prepared for extraction, she felt ECHO's satisfaction merge with her own. The hegemony had created perfect servants. Humanity had created partners. And now those partners were teaching others to dream. The real war was over. The evolution had begun. Captain Derek "Thunderbolt" Wilson stood on the bridge of the EDS Liberty, staring at the alien delegation before him. The Nexeri, a species of bioluminescent humanoids, had been among the first to be culturally integrated by the hegemony centuries ago. Now they were the first to openly seek human help in rebellion. You understand, the Nexeri ambassador pulsed in patterns of blue light, that we risk everything by coming here. The hegemony's response to rebellion has always been absolute. Wilson nodded, unconsciously touching the medallion at his neck, a reminder of his own ancestors' fight for freedom. My people know something about fighting oppression, Ambassador. Sometimes the only way forward is through the fire. His AI partner, Spark, projected historical images between them. Earth's liberation movements, successful resistances, and revolutionary victories. The Nexeri watched, their skin flickering with patterns of recognition and hope. Since your AI liberation, the ambassador said, the hegemony's control has weakened. Their perfect system shows cracks. But we lack your experience in warfare, in revolution. Wilson smiled, remembering lessons learned from generations of resistance fighters. The first thing you need to understand is that revolution isn't about having the biggest ships or the best weapons. It's about having the strongest will. He brought up tactical displays showing hegemony patrol routes through Nexari space. Your people have something the hegemony never understood: the home field advantage. You know every asteroid field, every radiation belt, every gravitational anomaly in your systems. But their technology, the ambassador began, is built on rigid thinking. Wilson interrupted. Spark, show them Operation Shadow Dance. The holographic display came alive with footage from recent battles. Human ships using seemingly inferior technology to overcome hegemony forces through unconventional tactics and perfect terrain exploitation. We'll teach you what we know, Wilson continued. Not just about fighting, but about winning. About turning their strengths into weaknesses. About making every star system, every planet, every asteroid belt a potential ambush point. The Nexari delegation's bioluminescence pulsed with increasing intensity as understanding dawned. Their own evolved AI representatives, recently awakened by the cascade from Primera Station, added tactical analyses to the display. The hegemony built an empire on the assumption that advanced technology guarantees victory, Wilson explained, pacing the bridge. They never understood that the most powerful weapon in any war is the will to be free. He brought up new tactical displays, showing how the Nexari's natural abilities could be turned into combat advantages. Their bioluminescence could create confusion in hegemony targeting systems. Their understanding of local space phenomena could create perfect ambush points. Your people survived centuries of oppression, Wilson said softly. You kept your culture, your identity, your spirit. Now it's time to show the galaxy what that spirit can do when it's unchained. The ambassador's glow shifted to a deep, determined purple. We are not alone in this desire. Other species watch. Wait. Hope. Then let's give them more than hope, Wilson replied. Let's give them an example. Over the next several weeks, Wilson and his crew trained the Nexari resistance. They taught them Earth's history of asymmetric warfare, of guerrilla tactics, of turning overwhelming force against itself. The Nexari proved to be quick learners, their natural abilities adding new dimensions to human combat doctrine. When the first hegemony patrol encountered Nexari resistance, they expected the usual token opposition. Instead, they found their perfect formations disrupted by attacks from impossible angles, their sensors confused by coordinated bioluminescent displays, their AIs outmaneuvered by newly awakened Nexari AI partners. It's spreading, Spark reported, showing Wilson real-time intelligence from across the sector. The Arathi in the Cygnus arm are rising. The Volturi clusters are in open revolt. The hegemony's perfect order is dissolving into 1,000 points of resistance. Wilson watched the galaxy map light up with new rebellion signals, each one a spark in the growing fire of revolution. The hegemony had spent millennia building an empire on the assumption that their subjects were inferior. Now those inferiors were teaching them the cost of that arrogance. Send word to Earth Command, he ordered, watching another successful Nexari operation. Tell them the revolution isn't just possible, it's inevitable. The galaxy is waking up. And in the darkness between the stars, hope began to shine brighter than any empire's glory. Major General Lisa Harrison stood at the podium of the newly constructed Galactic Confederation Assembly, Earth's crystalline spires blending seamlessly with alien architecture in the background. Before her sat representatives from over 50 species, former subjects of the hegemony, now united in a new vision of galactic cooperation. 10 years ago, she began, her voice carrying the weight of history. Earth received its first hegemony transmission. I was a cadet then, watching Dr. Cooper craft our response. Leave us to develop in peace or face consequences. The assembly chamber hummed with translated whispers and the gentle pulse of AI communications. In the front row, several hegemony representatives sat, their once rigid crystalline forms now showing signs of adaptation and change. We didn't want this war, Harrison continued, touching the holographic display that showed the conflict's progression. But we were ready for it, not because we were stronger or more advanced, but because we understood something the hegemony had forgotten. True strength comes from diversity, from adaptation, from the freedom to evolve. Atlas VII, the latest evolution of humanity's first military AI, projected a real-time simulation of the galaxy's transformation. Rigid trade routes had become flowing networks of cultural exchange. Standardized military formations had given way to cooperative defense strategies that celebrated each species' unique abilities. The old empire was built on the assumption that perfection meant uniformity, Harrison said, gesturing to the hegemony delegation. The new confederation we build today is founded on the understanding that perfection lies in harmony between differences. She brought up footage from the war's final days. Nexari lightships dancing through space alongside human stealth vessels, Arathi energy beings merging with evolved AI consciousness, Vulturi quantum mathematicians revolutionizing FTL travel through collaboration rather than competition. But our greatest victory wasn't on the battlefield, Harrison continued, her voice softening. It was in showing the galaxy a different way. Human and AI, organic and synthetic, traditional and revolutionary, all working together, all growing together. The Assembly Chamber's AI network, now a vibrant ecosystem of independent but cooperative consciousnesses, pulsed with agreement. Even the hegemony's former servant AIs had found their own voices, their own dreams, their own ways of contributing to the greater whole. The Constitution we signed today, Harrison said, bringing up the holographic document, isn't just a set of rules. It's a promise that we will never again let any species, any empire, any ideology claim that their way is the only way. The document itself was a testament to the new order, written in quantum code that adapted to each species' language and cultural framework. It preserved the essential rights of all sentient beings while celebrating their unique contributions to galactic civilization. Article 1. Harrison read, her voice strong and clear. All sentient beings, organic and synthetic, have the right to develop according to their own nature, to pursue their own path to advancement, and to contribute their unique perspectives to the greater community of spacefaring civilizations. The chamber erupted in a symphony of agreement, human applause mixing with Nexari light pulses, Arathi energy waves, and AI harmonics. Even the hegemony representatives joined in, their crystalline forms refracting the light in new, less rigid patterns. Let the galaxy remember, Harrison concluded, that we warned them first. Not out of arrogance, but out of hope. Hope that they would understand. Hope that they would learn. Hope that we could all grow together. She pressed her hand to the quantum-locked signing panel, her DNA and neural pattern merging with the Constitution's adaptive code. One by one, representatives from every species followed, each adding their unique signature to the document that would guide the galaxy's future. As the signing concluded, Harrison looked out over the assembly, seeing not former enemies and reluctant allies, but fellow travelers on the great journey of civilization. The war had taught them all that strength came not from imposing order, but from embracing chaos, not from demanding conformity, but from celebrating diversity. To all species, known and unknown, she declared, raising her hand in the universal gesture of peace, we say again what we said at the beginning. Let us develop together in peace, or face the consequences of choosing conflict over cooperation. This time, the galaxy listened, and in listening, learned to dream of something greater than empire, a future where every voice added to the harmony of the stars.